Good morning. Great to see everyone here. Thank you for attending our talk. My name is Patrick Gann. I am a program manager in Office working on collaboration and shared experiences. Fun fact, I am based out of a Microsoft office called the New England Research and Development Center, or NERD for short. So with me today, helping give this talk, are Chanda, if you want to introduce yourself.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Chanda Wong. I am with Microsoft Marketing, and I do not have a cool fun fact. I'm in Redmond, Seattle area. So,
Custy?
Custy Crampton, I'm the Director of Collaboration Services at Biogen.
Mark?
I'm Mark Casella. I work at Land O'Lakes. I manage the end user technology team, which we are responsible for engineering and managing all the client endpoints, as well as all our AV conferencing.
And Amanda?
I'm Amanda Downing. I am a senior BA at LL Bean. Fun fact, am on the fun team. We are officially known as the Enterprise Productivity Team.
Thank you, guys. So our format for our talk today is a customer panel. We want this to be a conversation. And the idea for this talk came about last year at Ignite. We did a lot of collaboration demos, and we talked to folks and asked, what did you think of the features that we showed? And everyone, had a great reaction to seeing co-authoring in Excel and a lot of these new features. But they told us that some of our users are not going to change the way that they've been working with Office for years. And change is hard. Getting people out of entrenched ways of using Office has always been difficult. Can you give us tips? So we figured that rather than having us talk about and giving you demos, we'd bring some experts who've gone through the transition on stage to come talk to you. So a little bit first about Modern Workplace.
sure. Thanks, Patrick. So, as the world is changing, the way we live and work changes with that. And so within the workplace itself, employees have new expectations for how they work in the workplace. And so I know for me, on a daily basis, working with individuals in different organizations, in different locations, and different time zones. That also means, more diverse workforces, whether that be the experiences people are bringing to the workplace, the skill sets, or the abilities that they have. And so taking those things together, as many of you know, there's Microsoft 365, which brings together the Windows 10, the Office 365, the enterprise mobility and services. And within M365, today we want to focus on how that enables better teamwork. And so I find this useful thinking about yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And so yesterday is more of the quote unquote me work piece of it, a lot more individual working on documents, sending it out, more process-oriented environment, structured environment as well. And moving to this world of we work, so bringing together content, context, people, going into meetings and using that as a working meeting, having Office 365 with the real-time co-authoring and app mentions and these features that Patrick just mentioned, but using that within the teamwork context. And so where Office 365 comes into play is providing those features to enable better teamwork and collaboration. And so if some of you may have been at the talk yesterday that Mike Morton gave, where where he talked through a number of these collaboration features and where we're positioned to bring that into, sort of the tomorrow aspect of it. And so turning it back to Patrick, and then also turning it over to our key customers to talk through how they've been able to do that in the real world.
So one of the parts of the job that I really love is the fact that we've renewed our focus on customer-centric engineering. And one of the things that we've started doing as a product team is going out and meeting customers, talking to them, going on site and learning about how they're making these transitions to modern ways of working. And so that way you don't have to hear us tell you about making these changes and how they'll make you more productive. You can hear it from the experts. So we brought together 3 customers. We're going to start with Custy.
Sure. Well, thank you for inviting me, and hope everybody's having a good conference. My name is Custy Crampton, Director of IT Collaboration Services at Biogen. That includes anything to do with Office 365. It includes our unified communications, so anything to do with Skype, eFax, you name it. I also have the client engineering team, so Office Pro Plus, our Windows 10 environment, our SCCM environment, that's also included in there. I own our webcasting capability. We also have a customer experience team that's part of my team, and then mobility. So anything to do with mobility falls under our team. So I guess it's a little broader than collaboration, but it's a nice clean term that we use within Biogen. Biogen is about 12,000 employees. We have a global footprint in about 32 different countries. I think about half our employees are international, which in itself creates collaboration challenges. Being able to not only speak different languages, different time zones, but also having the right tools to work as we deploy new drugs. Biogen is a leader in the neuroscience business around MS, ALS, and we recently announced some great progress in some of our Alzheimer's diseases. So it's a very big business for us. You're doing okay. So what I wanted to talk about was a little bit about our journey. 18 months ago, well, I'd say we're towards the end of 2016. At this point, it's probably coming up on 2 years, but we finished all this in 18 months. We had a challenge. We had a need to develop a collaboration tool, and that collaboration tool had to be something that could work offline or off network. It could work on mobile devices. And Microsoft had this product called Groups. And this Groups allowed us to combine not only a SharePoint Online site, but a shared mailbox, a shared calendar, a shared OneNote, and it was built within the Outlook client that we were pretty invested in from our user base. In that fall of 2016, we had deployed nothing. And we had bought the licenses for Office 365, but we hadn't deployed it. So we had to sit down and draw up a plan. How do we get to our North Star? Our North Star is how do we get Groups deployed? So we had to backtrack. Well, in order to use Groups, you had to have the Outlook client. The Outlook client was part of Office Pro Plus. So then that introduced what you need to have. Well, in Office Pro Plus, that was heavily reliant on OneDrive. So we had to deliver OneDrive. We had Exchange environment that we had a contract that was ending that we had to move to somewhere in that time frame. So we kind of backtracked and created a journey of how we deployed things. And some of our guiding principles as we deployed our solutions was how do we minimize the impact to the user? So how many times do I have to go touch their computer? How many times do I have to have them do something? So we created our roadmap and our journey based on that. And over the course of these 18 months, we started off with Intune. So we were looking at, we wanted to move to a new mobile device management platform. And we realized the number of times that we would have to touch the device, it was better to do that and then move to Exchange versus Exchange Online versus move to Exchange Online and then have them enrolled more than once on mobile devices. So we first started with our mobile device management platform of Intune. Our next vision was we needed to deploy Exchange. And we went out there and we talked to a couple of my peers and realized dragging something like this out was not beneficial to our users. So we used Fast Track, and I would say within probably less than 4 weeks, we deployed and migrated the majority of our users from an on-prem co-located environment onto Exchange Online. So that was a lot of communications that had to go through there. But again, the impact to the users was the most impact they had had to re-enter their username and password into their computer. It was really something we really wanted to emphasize, minimize the impact. So with that, we had a challenge around the online environment. And the online environment had tight integrations with OneDrive. So we had to release OneDrive because it was too hard to decouple those capabilities. However, we did it in I would say, covert way. We gave everybody OneDrive, but we didn't tell them they actually had it because we knew our next roadmap was Office Pro Plus, which really showed people where OneDrive was. So we gave them OneDrive. Of course, some people found it, like, wow, this is kind of a cool little feature to have that. And we knew we had some other challenges that we were killing as well. I'm sure you guys have Shadow IT and you have Dropbox and other solutions that are out there that are not really regulatory, or at least in our business wasn't sanctioned applications. So we knew we had to get to that point. So we released OneDrive. Our next component was that we had to get the Pro Plus. Pro Plus was that update that we needed to get to allow people to use the Outlook groups. Now came the utilization of OneDrive, and that's where we saw a huge uptick in OneDrive. And of course, with metrics that you guys can see within the admin console, you can see the utilization of these files. And of course, my security guys were saying, I'm seeing a great reduction in some of these other products. So that was a kind of a home run there. So to see that Shadow IT applications were getting reduced. So that journey led us to thinking about really looking at a more of a holistic approach to collaboration. And when we deployed those, we started hitting problems like conference rooms. At the time, we had about 18 different technologies throughout our company. And they had different cards and index, help guides, and you could literally be on the same room, same floor, and go from one room to the next room, and it would be a different technology. And I've been to a couple of offices, and I've seen that as a challenge. So we started thinking about collaboration in some of our overall portfolio of solutions to be more holistic, and we started thinking about our collaboration rooms as well as being part of that entity. So we ended up starting around when we started doing the Office Pro Plus, we started updating all of our conference rooms globally. So we updated 600 conference rooms in a little less than about a year time frame to have Skype-enabled rooms. So I know you've seen the videos where you can walk into a room and see your name, you click start, and it starts. And I was in another pharmaceutical, I won't mention the name, but we were having a little kind of a meeting, and of course it took 25 minutes for the meeting to start, and one person raised their hand and says, who doesn't have this problem? And I don't. But again, it's thinking of that overall experience of collaboration is really that needed to partake. So then came our Office Pro Plus rollout. And one of the things that we do with all of our rollouts is to use this concept of opt-in, early adopters. And it's kind of like a psychological game, right? So you broadcast, hey, be the leaders, be the champions, learn this new technology. So you're going to get some people that are going to jump on that boat. And then you get to a certain threshold, then you flip it. And you say, hey, why don't you join all the people that went over there, right? So now the communications is about, look at all these people that are enjoying the benefits, and you're not, right? So let's jump over to ship. Our goal was to try to reduce the amount of people, because at the end of the day, you're going to hit those people that will not move, right? And they're resistant. And for us, it was about reducing the impact, reducing the challenges that we have when you have to force somebody to do something. So at the beginning of every one of our projects, everything from Intune to Office Pro Plus, we knew we had a certain threshold that we were trying to hit from an opt-in perspective before we put the gauntlet down, right? Say, hey, you have to be migrated over. So Office Pro Plus came out, and it was one of those journeys that people really started seeing the benefits of OneDrive. Now, I'll be honest, when we deploy all of our solutions, we did take kind of a minimalist approach. And what I mean by that is, yeah, there's features 1 through 10. Well, I only told them about features 1 through 3, right? Because what I wanted to do is I didn't want to overwhelm them, and I wanted to make sure that it was a smooth transition. So when we went from Office 2010 to Office Pro Plus, they just thought, well, this is just the latest version, right? Not all the new functionality. And we'll give them one little nugget, right? One little piece of information that allowed them to really understand what that new capability was. That was something that we did with all of our solutions. So for us to be able to migrate all of this in this time frame, you had to take that kind of like consensus of, let's keep things a little more on the simpler side as you deploy things. So then we had Office Pro Plus, we did that, and our next journey was Skype Online. So we moved everybody to Skype Online. One of our challenges being an international company in global locations was having to put footprints in all these countries. And some of these countries weren't really great at having infrastructure in place. So you had to, if our legacy infrastructure was, an MPLS network, backbone back to our Brazil office. If you think about this, our Brazil office, when they browsed the web, came back to Raleigh, North Carolina, right? And they had to download. So you could see the challenges, especially when we moved to the cloud. So by simply giving them an internet access directly and putting their file share services in the cloud, it made a lot of sense for us to do that. So we migrated to Skype Online, and then our North Star was Groups. So June of this year, we launched Groups. We launched it in part with a new framework that we call Biogen Workplace, and it's a new hub. Think of it as a new hub, but it's a brand. It has its own logo, its own little it's technology solutions for the way you work, that kind of a thing where everyone starts to know about this. And what this framework and what this workspace does, it helps people find out the right tools to use in the right place. And our first tool that we launched as part of that collaboration framework was Groups. Prior to that, again, going back to 2016, where people were asking us, we need a better tool to collaborate. We had to jump all these hurdles, and this is the order that we chose to get us to the point where we launched Groups. The SharePoint on-prem environment that we had prior, we were probably creating between 2 to 4 SharePoint sites a week to do some kind of collaboration. The last check that I saw with our Groups creation were between 40 to 50 a week. That much of an increase. And I love reading the names of these groups, because you can see, like, wow, here's a contract negotiation. They wanted to pull in the VMO, the legal teams, the engineering teams, the server teams, the MSP. Collaborate. Let's create content. Let's do some work, and then you're done. Or you have existing teams that continue along. So our journey, and we have a long journey ahead of us to move forward with, was really around how do we get to the collaboration as quickly as we can, simplest way, less impact for the individuals, and get us that tool.
Thanks, Kirsty. Next up, we'll have Mark tell us about his story.
All right. Hi, everyone. So again, Mark Casella with Land O'Lakes. I'm super excited to be up here with Kirsty and Amanda, and also proud to be able to share Land O'Lakes and our Office 365 journey. A little bit about the company. So we are about 9,000 users over about 300 different locations, mainly around the US, but we also do have some international locations too. So while everybody usually thinks about us as the butter people, right, the butter folks, we're really proud of that, but we're a lot more. So we have 4 distinct agribusinesses. So we have the Winfield division, which is all about crop inputs and crop insights, and it's really, we call it our seed division. We also have the Purina brand, right? So when you think of agriculture feed and animal nutrition, that is the feed part of our business. We also have the dairy business, which is the butter and the cheese and so much more good stuff. And then lastly, we have Sustain, which is our sustainability division, which really helps agriculture companies, agriculture just from a farmer perspective, helping them to do more from a sustainability perspective. The one thing that Land O'Lakes feels really passionate about, one of the problems that is facing the world is that the population growth. So by 2050, the estimated world population will be 10 billion. And so we need to feed the world without any additional acreage that's farmable. And so with that, we realize that technology will be technology as well as collaboration will help to solve that problem, will be a big part of the equation. So when I think back to before Office 365 and where we were at from like a culture perspective and from an IT perspective, and I've been at Land O'Lakes for 15 years, so I've seen quite a bit. So I think back, and from an IT perspective, we were really, really frugal when it came to IT spend. We were buying Office every 5 years, right? So what would happen is that we'd have this huge capital once every 5 years, and not only was it the capital expenditure, but then we had to drive user adoption, training, and so it was a lot of hard work. And in addition to that, from a services perspective, right, we didn't have a lot of capacity on servers. So we were doing things like we give users 100 meg mailboxes. We'd give them 90 days worth of email retention, right? They had like a 100 meg user home directory that they could use. And so what we were really doing is that those users were figuring out other ways to save those, into PSTs. So we had PST proliferation. And so it was quite challenging. And in addition, the majority of those services were only available over VPN, right? Email was available online, but a lot of the other services you had to actually VPN in. So IT was definitely a bottleneck, and because of that, we started to see where, the shadow IT, which Custy mentioned, right? People were finding the tools that worked best for them, whether it was Slack or Dropbox. They were going out and kind of doing their own thing, which again makes it incredibly challenging from a legal perspective, right? From an IT governance, legal holds, e-discoveries, it was not only challenging, but it was expensive as well. So when I think about there's this concept in civil engineering, it's called desired path. And I think in IT, we see that all the time. So we go out there and we design the path that we think users should take, right? We've got limited resources, so we go out and we build this sidewalk or this path. And then we think we did a great job. We told users how to use the path. And then we go away and we come back 3 months later and we find out some of the users are using it, but all of a sudden we see these other paths cut directly across the graph where people are finding their own way and taking shortcuts. And so like I said, from an IT perspective, that was kind of our scenario. We had limited paths for the users, and they were choosing to go their own way and sometimes outside of IT solutions. So from a migration perspective, we started a little over 4 years ago. Much like a lot of the other scenarios, CIO decided he's buying this product and all of a sudden we have to go fast. The one thing that we chose to do was we started with Exchange, and it took us about 6 months. It was we went from BPOS to Office 365, so a lot of the stuff there wasn't fast track at the time, so we had to sort it out ourselves. And it was called DirSync at the time, now AD Connect, but got our Azure AD up and running and started our migration. And with that, we also included home use. So we wanted our users to be able to take advantage of the ability to load the latest and greatest Office at home. We use that as a teaching mechanism to get that up to speed. We made OneDrive available to our users. Like Custy mentioned, it was out there, and some people found it, and they decided that they want to take like their 500 gig hard drive and dump it to OneDrive and sync it back to Office 365, which was great from an adoption perspective, but not great in that we weren't doing anything to control those bandwidth over the slow links. So later we used AD group policies to lock it down from a download and an upload perspective. We deployed Office Pro Plus in the course of about 3 months. We took our SharePoint on-prem and moved that to the cloud. We were using that from an IM and presence perspective. Then we had about 350 SharePoint sites and from on-prem and moving those to the cloud. That actually went really well. We were able to move all but 9 of those, and those 9 had custom code in it, and one of our intranet had a lot of custom code. That was the largest one. And so we're still working on kind of the last 9 to get them upgraded. So, I think post Office 365, looking back, we totally take for granted, where we've come. We've really gone to this model of that these services are available anywhere, anytime, any device, which as an ag tech or an agricultural company is pretty important because, our folks can be literally out in the field next to a farmer. They can be feeding an animal, they can be milking a cow. And so in those scenarios, bandwidth might not always be there. So it's important that, you can work offline. And then when you connect, that connectivity comes back, right? So other examples that we see, like co-authoring, we use quite a bit. We do an annual business plan, obviously it's annual, so it's once a year. But there's 50 people working in a spreadsheet at a time as opposed to circulating that. You'll hear circulating it or throwing on a thumb drive, with V1, V2, V3 on the end of it. We also, Power BI has been big. So users can start to do their own analytics without having to engage IT. And if they need an additional source, we can share that out through the Power BI gateway. And then also things like Yammer and Teams, where you've got these tools. So like we set up our SharePoint sites typically, based on like department. And so, but you have all these opportunities where you're sharing information across departments, across divisions, or even from an IT perspective when we have an ad hoc, maybe it's a security issue and, it's across multiple departments. You can spin that up pretty quickly, share content, and archive it off if you need to. One last thing to kind of talk a little bit about is that we just moved from everybody had a cube to on our corporate campus, 98% of us now work kind of in that hoteling environment. So it's now more critical than ever to be able to share and collaborate and also track people down, over Skype for Business as well. So when we think back to that kind of that path scenario, right? The civil engineer that builds the path, tells the users it's available, and then comes back and finds out that they're really doing their own thing. So what Office 365 has really allowed us to do is to offer multiple paths, right? Multiple choices to our end users. Some of those users, you got to tell exactly what to do, right? Whether to use Office 365 groups or Teams, you got to help them along the way. But there's other users that'll find their own way and they'll do what works best for them. And the great part is, from an IT governance, to put something on legal hold, you can put those on legal hold. E-discovery, just fairly comprehensive tools, or DLP, to be able to lock down what they can actually share. I think Satya in his keynote mentioned that they look at like 6.5 trillion security incidents that they track, right? So we could not keep up with that ourselves if we were maintaining our own services. From a lessons learned perspective, just some of the things from a project perspective, just a couple things. We've seen other companies in town where they buy Office 365 and they want to do everything right at once, which is great, right? They start out and they want to do Exchange, they want to do SharePoint. We were kind of fortunate just that we did Exchange right off the bat. That allowed us to get our account set up correctly, allowed us to move the mailbox, and so from a user perspective, I think it went well. So while I would say don't boil the ocean, right? Don't try to do it all at once. Remember that you are dealing with two security boundaries, right? Office 365 is one security boundary and on-prem is a security boundary. So if I move a user and they had access to a shared mailbox on-prem, just remember that you want to try to move them at the same time or have a workaround so that they can get back to that. Also, we learned that, no surprise to us, users just don't read email. So we would send out emails and we would say, hey, 10 days from now you're moving, 9 days, 8 days. And so, because there were a couple things that they had to do, like reconfigure their phone. And then sure enough, D-Day came, and all of a sudden the number one call to the help desk was phone calls about what changed, right? And we're like, we've been telling you for the last 2 weeks if you just read your email. So we really, and it was a lesson learned, that we really try to communicate differently with our end users now. So we do internal conferences twice a year. That's pretty well received. And we spend a lot of time talking about productivity tools. We use digital signage heavily. One other company in town did kind of a man on the street video that I thought was really super creative, where they would walk up to people in the cafeteria and they go, what does the cloud mean to you? And they would get all these crazy answers, and it kind of drove an excitement and an adoption internally. And then we've also tried to shift how we train our users. You'll find there's some great partners in the expo hall that they're talking about just this just-in-time training, right? Users don't want to go to like an hour PowerPoint class or an hour OneNote class. They want to know how to do that one thing, right? And so there's tools out there that we now leverage to basically allow users to find that type of training so that they can do it quickly. Just two last things. We meet monthly with the Office 365 internal team just to see what's changing, so that we can get ahead of anything from a roadmap perspective. So things like right now, so like OneDrive as an example, OneDrive has had versioning, but now it's also doing autosave, right? So how many versions do you want to keep? What is the impact of that? So those are the types of things that we think about. And kind of in closing, what we've really learned, I know that there was a lot of, we call it FUD around Land O'Lakes, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, when it came to Office 365. What's it going to mean? Am I going to lose my job if we move this? And really what we found is that we've really allowed our end users to be more productive. And there's actually more work, right? Because people are doing more things. And so it's actually kind of exciting. And we now can focus more on our end users and providing them the tools that they need. Thanks.
Thanks, Mark. And last but not least, Amanda. Now, Amanda, I know that I really wanted to wear a pair of my LL Bean boots to this conference. However, it's almost 90 degrees.
94 degrees.
Yeah, so sorry about that. But Amanda, take it away.
It's not 94 degrees in Maine. I'll let you know that right now. People have broken out the boots. I'm from LL Bean, Enterprise Productivity Team, Amanda Downing. We were founded in 1912 with the invention of the now iconic Bean boot, which still exists today, which is still made in Maine today, and which we're on track to make over 1 million pairs of this year. So we love our boots, but we make so much more at this point. We have over 53 stores in the US. We have 28 in Japan, and of course, a large international e-commerce presence. What many of you may or may not know is that we have, corporate offices in Japan, in Costa Rica, and agents throughout Southeast Asia that represent work that is not made in the US. So we have quite a widespread workforce, and we are in Maine, which shares a border with Canada, right? So from a recruiting and training perspective, we are always looking for good folks that don't necessarily want to move up north. So looking at our challenges are similar to what you've heard Custy and Mark talk about, and we are really, really thrilled to share them here with you today. I think as I've attended other Ignite sessions, I've always wanted to ask nitty-gritty questions, and I'm really hoping that you guys will take advantage of, Custy and Mark's experience and our experience with making this stuff live for our end users. So, as we look at our culture, we've been around for a long time. Have been a fairly risk-adverse company, somewhat slow-moving. We are fabulous people. You'll hear that all the time. We're the best people to work with, super nice, very respectful, which means we have file servers that look like your grandmother's attic, right? Like we are hoarders, If I inherit a project from Sandy, I say, oh, well, Sandy had these folders, so they must be really important to Sandy, right? So I'm just going to copy them, but I'm going to keep Sandy's folders there because I'm pretty sure we're going to need them. And sure enough, I worked for the company for years. I left to consult in the SharePoint space. I came back 7 years later, and on day 2, I got a phone call about a business-critical report that had been running. And I was scratching my head, like, was there something they didn't tell me? I said, could you just, tell me what that report relates to? Related to my supply chain job that I left in 2007. 7 years ago, right? But my name was on it. It was on the file server. It had been running really happily for 7 years without me for my business critical process, right? So we take our file servers seriously. We are wed to them. We are wed to those folder structures. And needless to say, that provides some rub as you start trying to embrace mobility, right? So in addition to that, we did, no big deal. We overhauled every single major system that we had over the past, 6 years, and took all of our custom code out and put in industry standard applications across the entire spectrum of the work that we do, from product design through warehouse management, right? So our folks are tired of change. So we have a culture that's been risk-adverse and somewhat change-averse, moving faster than they've ever moved before, embracing change across, every single component of the work that we do. And then we came along with Office 365, right? So we've been flying kind of under the radar with Office 365 while feeling that it's critical. We haven't had a ton of press or PR. We actually launched first with Office, right? And we did that in a very structured corp comms kind of way, right? Hey, new Office coming to you, never have to update again, always gonna have the current version, right? That was our pitch, and we hit the streets with it. We handed out flyers. We had all the admins in the loop. They had stacks of information, right? This was our big deal. And then we kind of went back under the radar, and people said, wasn't there like a SharePoint thing? And I was hired as the SharePoint business lead. And on that first day, day 2 was my report. Day 1 was, we just signed an EA with O365. Do you know anything about that? It's like, yes, I do. But it's sort of different from SharePoint on-prem. So we halted all net new SharePoint on-prem anything. And these were folks who had waited like 2 years to get SharePoint sites. And now we were saying, can you hold on for just a little bit more? So we built up a lot of pent-up demand around SharePoint. So we didn't really talk about it, but we had a lot of people wanting it. In the meantime, people had gone out and found their own solutions, as you've heard Mark and Custy talk about, right? We were Dropbox fans, we were Googleaholics, we have, all kinds of individual things going on across the company that we couldn't control, we couldn't monitor, we couldn't audit, and we had no idea who was actually accessing these pools of information that we were sharing, sometimes across, the globe. And we're under attack every day, as I'm sure these guys are, but don't talk about, from external, forces digitally, right? That's real. So as we looked at that, we had a new leader come into the security division, and he said, yeah, I'm just going to be shutting down Dropbox, right? And so we reported, and it wasn't just Dropbox. That's just the most common name, right? There are millions of these services, and we had many of them in use. As those started shutting down, we started with these really practical applications of external SharePoint sites, right, to address that. Some of which are very kind of old school FTP looking in nature, but which our vendors in Southeast Asia and all around the globe can get to really easily. They understand, it works, great. So we started building these patterns, we called them, for usage, and that was one of them, and that was pretty easy to roll out and develop and deploy. In addition, we had limited mobility, right? So, gosh, when I came back and I was like, first meeting, everybody brought their notebooks, you know, and I had my laptop, I was like, okay, guys, right, we got a little ways to go, you know, so we were really trying to move that culture around so people could move, could actually work from someplace other than in their cubicle. And particularly as our workforce is multi-generational now, right, and as we've got people in factories, right, and we've got people on the floor who are doing very operational, tactical kinds of jobs, you know, we need to be able to deploy information to all of these folks. And these folks are not in the office, right? So our concept of what the knowledge worker was doing had been driving that entire kind of IT structure, and it just doesn't work anymore. So in looking at mobility, I think Office was followed by Intune, and then we followed with some of the other features around sites and, you know, jumped on Teams as soon as it came back. Love Teams. There's some complexities to that, but we jumped on Teams as soon as it came out. So one of the things that we're doing is focusing this year on enabling licensing for operational folks. So we've got a large group of non-operational folks, about 5,000 people, right, that work in Office and that work in cubicles or on laptops now because we've enabled that. We have twice as many in our operational areas, right? So every peak, we go from 5,000 people or 6,000 people to 10 to 12. Okay, so that's seasonally, and then they go away. They come and they go away. And now we've got peaks other places that we hadn't even intended before. So like Virginia Beach actually has a summer peak, right? Freeport, which is a bit of an anomaly, like I don't know when it doesn't have a peak, maybe in mud season, you know, but each store, as we open new stores in new areas, we discover new peaks, but clearly our biggest corporate peak is around the fall and the holiday season. So we have all these SOPs for all those retail reps out there on the floor with you, trying to help you as customers, as I'm sure you will all be if you aren't already tomorrow, buy your boots, right? Or your kayaks, or your home furniture, or your kids' clothing, right? And all these things have different specs and different requirements, and even state by state might have different rules about how we sell them to you. And those retail reps are going to a generic kiosk and logging in generically and opening up the Word document that is not the one that they thought it would be. So they close it, right? And they open up the next Word document and Word is opening, right? And they get to it and they're like, yeah, nope, wasn't that one either. And they close that. So their experience trying to access SOPs and policies is really clunky. And it's based on file server interaction, right? So we want to license them with F1 licensing and move all of their SOPs into OneNote notebooks. And we're starting with the retail folks. And next year we'll tackle the CS reps and the B4B or the direct-to-business line of reps. And then we'll tackle like the HVAC guys, the maintenance guys, the facilities guys that keep all that equipment running, that makes all those great boots. So we've got all these different kind of silos of operational folks that we're going to start enabling this year and next year. That's our current challenge, and I actually have a meeting on Friday about that to see where we stand with the process of getting those folks up and running. So we pulled the trigger on 1,700 non-licensed operational folks pre-peak, and we have about 2,000 more that we're expecting in. So when you talk to somebody, we're hoping to give them a better experience. A fun story, and then I will stop because we really want to hear from you. When we train, we do a lot of training. And one of the first things we started to talk about was the concept of co-authoring, right? And co-authoring is like a light bulb that goes off in people's heads, but you have to do it in order to get it, right? So we get to training and we're talking about search and we all search for, a name, and we all go into the file together, and all of a sudden I lose control of the class, and I pre-warn them because my classes are all about getting lost, losing control, having to ask for help, right? Not clicking. They're all about clicking into the environment. So I get to this lovely Excel spreadsheet that you see, and it turns into like digital whack-a-mole, right? Like, this is my cell. No, it's my cell. I'm going to color it. I'm going to paint. I'm going to do something else. And people just start playing. Because in the past, what they would do is schedule their 15-minute sessions with this Excel file that is their critical project status update that would be going on Thursday. All the PMs would be entering their time into it, right, and their updates. And on Friday, their manager would pick it up and go directly to their manager, right? File server, 15-minute increments to do your work scheduled. Now, they're all in Excel just doing it, right? Or other tools, just doing it together. So this is what happens in my class. I mean, this is my file that I use class after class. And, you know, people play for about 5 minutes or so, and then we come back and say, now, seriously, how can you use this in your job? How can this transform the work that you do? Because our cycle time has gone from my email to these 5 people, their 5 responses to me, which takes me an hour to go through and weed and sort and edit and, you know, curate and get back into another version that I send out to these 5 people. They send it to 10 other people, unbeknownst to me, and I've got 15. I mean, you all do that, right? We got the V1, the V2, the V5, the final 2, right? No, this is really the final, right? And so that little email game, that version of collaboration, this reduces that phenomenally. People are scared because everybody can see your work. But once we get over that fear, we love it, and that's really cut down on lack of productivity around just processing other people's comments. Right, so that's my fun fact for the day. So we've gone from it took us a while to get the infrastructure in place for O365 because we got a lot of security hooks and infrastructure hooks. So I started in 2014. In 2015, we had about 5 site collections and 15 sites, right? In 16, it was 41 site collections, about 200 sites. In 17, it was 107 site collections, and we're up to 452 sites. Hello, teams, right? That richness between 16 and 17. In 18, we're up above 250 site collections and over 700 sites, right? So we've been cruising with the volume on high, running as fast as we can with the fun team. And we handle everything from, you know, one end of I'm having Excel issues, you know, to the conferencing room setups and collaboration within that space, everything O365 in between. Okay.
Thanks, Amanda. I love that slide. So,
He made me show you that slide. It's a fun slide.
it's a really fun slide. So just to recap what our panelists shared. Steve, do you want to kick it off? And your tips and tricks?
Sure. I guess I have a product management background, and one of the things that when I started this journey, was I realized it was the mentality, especially at my company. It was us versus them. It was, you know, IT does whatever, the business just says, well, upgrade email. Well, we'll just upgrade email. So one of the things that I really focused on was changing the way that we deliver our solutions and treat it like a product. And what that means, there's a lot of pieces of product owner, and you can Google and just look up any framework on product management. But there's a couple key ones that I take away. One is being an evangelist, where you have, you know, Amanda has the fun team. You know, you have to have an evangelist. You have to have somebody who's promoting what's opportunities that we can bring to the company. So it's not necessarily, you know, email's email, but, you know, all the characteristics and opportunities of new functionality that can come with that. The other aspect is about roadmaps. And we felt that by working with the business leaders in each one of our business units, so I for example, for Biogen, we have commercial, R&D, manufacturing, and our corporate affairs. You know, those are some key divisions that have their own roadmaps and their own visions of where they want to head. And it was important for us to treat them like a customer and for us to understand what their needs and desires were, and then work on a roadmap to deliver those solutions. And especially with the ongoing changes, we're moving to monthly channel. Actually, we already moved to monthly channel. And, you know, you think about those changes that are coming on a regular basis. It's no longer, you know, Mark mentioned it. You have your project that lasted, it was every 5 years you deploy something, then you get the cruise for a little bit, then you deploy. We're talking about compressing an entire cycle of deploying a solution every month now, right? I got to go through from what functionality is coming, I got to fully test it and so forth. And that really, you think about it as a product owner, that perspective of looking at that, from that perspective really helps gauge the business, helps you understand what you need to deploy and what you market to. You end up finding that you don't need to promote solutions, if there's 10 functionality, enhancements, you don't maybe have to promote the last 4, right? 6 through 10, because the business only needs 1 through 6. So it's really about being in sync with what you want to promote and what works with them. The other tip that I have is I invested heavily in customer experience. Really, really important. And to the point where I had so within our ION organization, customer experience was just in my team in itself. Well, we've had such a huge success with our deployments, because we deployed a lot over the last 18 months, that unfortunately, they took the customer experience team away from me because they wanted to make it a bigger organization within INO and within IT, that every group could use it. So if it's from the network team deploying new networks or new data storage or other components, it was that big of an investment that I put in customer experience. And that customer experience is about minimizing the impact as you deploy new solutions. So we made conscious decisions in terms of what we did, what order we did, because we knew it would have the most minimal impact to the individuals. And that was a key component to us. So it was product management, customer experience, 2 big tips that I think really can help in the success of deploying Office 365.
Mark?
Yeah, so we've comprised like a list of our top 10 things just from a lessons learned perspective, and I'm sure I work with a great team back at Land O'Lakes, and I'm sure that they're streaming this online or they'll watch it later and they'll correct me, so I'll share those with you via social media, all my corrections. But we kind of boiling it down to just 2 items, and again, I mentioned them during the talks. It's really about communicating differently, and then not biting off more than you can chew. Just don't boil the ocean, but yet go as quickly as possible. Don't let those SKUs, right, those services that you guys own, sit on the shelf. Take advantage of them, get them deployed.
Amanda, what are your 2 tips?
So my 2, we train often and we go where people are. So we don't call it training, we call it office hours, right? We show up and embed ourselves in different, cafeterias or offices in different areas and say, hey, we're here, come ask us questions, no agenda. Right. We also do, we're relaunching Tech Tuesdays, so we're reiterating constantly through our offerings. Tech Tuesdays, we have 6 kind of selections. 4 are the basics, and 2 will change in a more advanced manner that people can opt into via Skype and just take advantage of whatever we're offering every Tuesday, right? Any Tuesday of your choice. We also have formal training, where if you're getting into sites or teams and you want to really get your hands on document management and you want to understand what's going on and tagging and stuff like that, we offer that monthly. So we don't know what training is until we get feedback from our end users and say we want more of, and we pivot and adapt and get that out there. The other thing is with rolling out, I'm really responsible more for the sites and teams component myself. And so in rolling out that work, I've decided, it's not a conceptual exercise. I don't go to people and say, great, so like what tags do you want? What columns would you like? We say, what project are you going to start this with? What real work are you going to put in here? And then we sort of structure the libraries or the sites around that work. So it's real, it's tactical, it makes an immediate difference on the team, and they can use it. It's not a pilot, play space, conceptual exercise. It's real work that gets moved in there.
Thanks, Amanda. So I'll have a call to action for Office 365 collaboration and the clients. Get on the Office 365 Pro Plus monthly channel, and the web clients will always have the latest. So we're going to jump into Q&A for folks. We have swag for folks who come up and ask questions. So if you can come to the microphone stands, and we can start the Q&A.
First off, thanks for sharing your stories. It's been very informative. My company has been kind of on the same journey recently too. We've recently moved all of our Exchange mailboxes to the cloud. We ran into the issues with shared mailboxes that are still on-prem. Kind of struggled through that. We've deployed Office 365. That pretty much is complete now. One of the things that came out as a takeaway for me is the change management aspect of that. We didn't do a very good job of communicating, letting our users understand what these changes mean to them. The other piece of that is the kind of the training aspect you talked about. My challenge is we have a very lean IT organization. I don't have a bunch of people I can go out and do some of these very cool things that you're doing. So if you have some ideas or tips on how we can, especially if we wanted to go to a monthly channel in Office 365, my team is the front line. I run the service desk. So when somebody sees an icon change in their Word toolbar, they don't go out and look for a solution. They call the help desk, and we're expected to know where that icon went, or this feature is now different, or whatever. So the more agile aspect of how Office and Windows now is changing very rapidly. It makes our support model a little more difficult. So do you have any stories or ideas on how we can better do those kinds of things?
So one of the things that we invested in is video training, short 3 to 4 minute video training. So we partnered with a company that basically has tips and tricks, right? Short little videos that we actually will send, like, so as soon as you get upgraded Office, you'll get one week, then you'll get a little tip next week. And then within that training portal, you can say, all right, let's all use Power BI. So for example, you go to Power BI, and then there's PAS, and there's short little videos. And we found that to be a lot more successful than long, in-depth training type scenarios where people.
Well, I think we have using Brainstorm, which I think basically provides that kind of functionality, but we're not getting really good adoption from our end users. I don't know if it's a cultural thing for my company, but they don't want to really learn on their own. They want us to provide that information to them as they need it.
Yeah.
And I think we're getting there with Brainstorm. It's been a valuable tool. We're getting lots of metrics that indicate people are looking at it, but I feel like I want to provide a better customer experience, and I think we need to be a little more proactive in that regard. Now, what we have done this past spring especially, we've done a few kind of lunch and learn type things where we did one on OneDrive. We've done one on the new Outlook. We wanted to do one on Windows 10, but part of my struggle now is we were recently acquired by a much larger company. They're about a year behind us in terms of Office migration, Exchange Online, a lot of other things. So we're hoping they're not going to kind of drag us down with them in this process. But this integration now is taking a lot of time from my group, well, pretty much everybody in IT. So it's just been a kind of interesting times for us. But again, we don't really have a lot of resources that we can continually do this.
Our total team is 7 people total, right? And so, I am in the classroom training people. Our team, our bandwidth is then throttled by being in rooms with people, but that's what people have requested, right? And so we invest that time until they get some sea legs. And once they get some sea legs, then we find that we can transition. Once we're almost at a tipping point where we have enough people that are in the technology that we feel we'll be able to really shift some of those training mechanisms. But until we got to that point, they just weren't going there on their own.
Right.
Now we're doing much more of training incorporated into kind of the configuration and handoff process. And those people that, as we do a site overview and we talk about the top 10 things they're going to do in the site and we hand it off to them, they just go, right? Because they've had some groundwork. But it's, that is our challenge as well. I think we all feel that.
All right.
And we've just told them, get used to stuff moving. It's like, really, it's going to move. I don't know where it is. Are you the person that discovered it? Call me and let me know, because I may not have seen it, right? And we use our Yammer user groups to put out change alerts. But we may not be the first people who find them, and we're fine with that. Like, we're super humble with that. We've just trained everybody to say, we're all in the same boat together. Whoever sees the change first, give a shout.
All right, well, thank you.
If I could add just one thing.
Oh,
So just, we've been trying to promote that on-demand training too, just kind of that just-in-time training as well, and it's been a few years. I know that those tools have internal campaigns and stuff that you can promote stuff, so, but we're finally getting leverage where people are finally starting to do it. The one thing that's been helpful for us is that we'll do like an open house where, so somebody that's like a SharePoint expert will just go sit in a room for an hour, right? And if people show up, great.
Right.
But if people don't show up, they can work on email. They can
Right.
work on something else. And so we've kind of been doing that for like the OneDrives and just kind of allowing them to come in and ask questions, and it's been well received.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi. We're looking at getting closer to moving to the cloud, specifically with SharePoint. I'm wondering, any advice on how you work with large documents, A, syncing, B, since I think a couple of you mentioned offline, and maybe for Patrick, since you're on the office side of things, the upload center, we've had a lot of issues with things getting caught up in the upload center, that sync not happening appropriately, and then of course, in the end users seem to think that their documents either got lost, when really they just didn't make it there. So I didn't know if you've experienced any of that, but any advice on that would be great.
Well, we are in a growth pattern for Windows 10. And I don't know, you're Windows 10 or Windows 7?
10.
10, yeah. So we're not quite far there, but we do realize there are going to be some challenges around sync. We're in a phase where we're going to be actually removing our network drives going forward and relying on that. So there are some new features of Windows 10, like the on-demand. So I think the initial challenges that we had was syncing everything. I'm hoping some of the new functionalities will solve some of those challenges that we have.
So I can't answer that question today, but we've got a couple of really good SharePoint guys back at Land O'Lakes that I'll give you my card at the end of this, and I can get you connected with them, and you can ask them that question.
Okay, yeah.
Thanks.
I can say we did at first have sync issues, but as we've resolved, what we've discovered is that there's actually, and I'm not an engineer, right? I'm a business person, right? But from my language, there's a lot of chatter between our environment and the O365 environment. And once we invested in understanding that chatter back and forth, right, and we really, from a connectivity perspective, so networking, security, et cetera, once we resolved some of our own internal barriers to enabling that chatter, our issues diminished. So that now, and we also, talked to our help desk folks to say, if someone's got something that they're not seeming to find or it's not seeming to work, this is where you check, right, and how you resolve that upload center. And it's been a long time, like maybe a year or so, since I've run into somebody that's having that issue that, that's IMing me, whereas it used to happen much more frequently.
Okay.
Yeah, you bring up a good point around the security aspects, because our security team,
Yeah.
they want to block everything and we want to open everything, right?
Right.
So there was a lot of battles, to proving out the case that the trust Microsoft to say you need to open up pretty much everything if
Yeah,
you
so
want the best experience.
They'd say, well, we'll open up this IP, but not that. You
Yeah.
need to understand that talk, that conversation that's going on technically. And that's for us what helped to resolve that, even though it's not a technical answer, sorry. The team's sitting there watching us now, like sending me messages.
I know.
Making sync more reliable is one of our biggest focuses for just basically trying to eliminate the seamless messages itself.
Sure.
That's one of the big initiatives our team is trying to improve that reliability, so you see fewer of those messages and such being the approach.
Okay.
And heard it very loud and clear that sync reliability is a big concern, and that's something that we are actively trying to do.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
So we have a 25,000 person organization, and we find that our early adopters are easy to train because they're excited and they ask really good questions. How do you account for kind of the lowest common denominator of people that still don't understand that if you're looking at a document on PowerPoint online and you click on the edit in PowerPoint, that you're still in a OneDrive document? Like a lot of these concepts are really hard for people to grasp, and so we have our training is all focused on the how-to, but we have to really start at the basics. So how do you accommodate for that type of
So the office team that I met with just this week said that I'm going to send them my training agendas, and that when they've eliminated those for me, that they've done their job. Because it's that kind of, it's literally that kind of, so I offer 15-minute trainings with 15 minutes for Q&A, and I go in on a 4-step agenda, and it's regimented, and we do it every time we notice that kind of behavior, and we loop back iteratively to say, what about the leaders? Hey, what about these guys? What about that role? And we repeat it, and it's what is Office 365, literally, right? And how are we going to use it as a company? It is, how do I get there from here, which is that thing. So I make them all go to portal.office.com. Everybody logs it. We navigate around. We understand some of that environment, right? And we have 2 others that are a little more focused around OneDrive and My Docs, and then around meeting management and the multitude of tools that we use in effective meeting management. So, you know, that we are now going to be shutting off the file servers behind people as they go. So that kind of really common, basic level of understanding that people just don't have. Like, it's not easy.
Right.
It's not easy for a lot of. Okay, I don't know who it was. I didn't move. You know, so that's what they said to us. Like, you know, you think it's easy, it's not easy. So we went back to basics and said, okay, let's try and make it as simple as possible.
Thank you. That's helpful.
So I don't have the mic, I'll have to project a little bit, but that is something that making it simple is something that our team is trying to work very hard on, so that, you know, as Amanda said, our leadership is, once we eliminate some of the basic, you know, training, that we've done our job. And that's something we recognize that, you know, we haven't done a great job, we're trying to make it simpler.
Thank you to all of you, you know, Microsoft customers like us. Great to hear from you. I'm an architect from Vanguard. We are moving to Office 365. My question would primarily be to the executive from Biogen. So 2 questions. One, yeah, I mean, you guys had great approaches, you know, enabling each service like Office 365 Pro Plus first and then going down. You had a different approach. You said you had to choose between mobility and Exchange, and then you went mobility first. That's what I heard. In which case, I would like to understand is, you know, what was your infrastructure? Was it a greenfield environment? Could you emphasize on that? And the second point you mentioned was you consider every service as a product. When Microsoft is moving from a product-centric model to a service-centric model, and you are asking us to go back and consider it as a product, what were your biggest challenges there?
So the mobility issue was around, we took our customer experience team and we said, all right, we're currently on Exchange on-prem, and we currently had X provider for MDM. So we knew we wanted to move to Intune. One, we were paying for it and we weren't using it, so we might as well use it. So we did an experiment where we saw what the experience was of a user provisioning. And what we saw was when we migrated somebody to Exchange first, they had to enroll their device. And then when we moved to different MDM, they had to enroll again. Okay, so so what we were trying to do was minimize the impact of the user. So everything that we do about deploying was about how do we minimize that impact to the user. So that was the main driving factor of why we chose to move to mobility. Was I didn't want to have to touch those people twice, right? We wanted to be able to make sure that we minimized the service needs that we had on our help desk. Any other question again?
The second question was you asked us to think every service as a product. So what were your biggest challenges there?
Okay, so again, when I say product, I mean when you look at, there's a lot of product frameworks out there. If you look at the roles within a product management framework, a lot of those is what I was saying are missing from when you deliver services. So when you think about when I first started with our IT group, it was, someone had said, well, upgrade our email, okay? What's the benefits of it? Why are we doing that, right? So as a product owner, in product management, so I have a big product management background, you have to challenge everything. You have to challenge the business. Why do you want to do that? We found ourselves in so many challenges now trying to migrate SharePoint because we just built whatever they said, right? Versus challenging them on like, why do you want to do something? So as a product owner and a product management perspective, those kind of skills of when you're working with a customer, I treat my business as customers, you think of it differently. It's just a different approach. I'm not saying treat it as a product. A service when we're talking about Microsoft as a service and product, they're talking about going to the cloud, making it more monthly instead of a tangible type client. I'm thinking of it a little differently. I'm thinking of it as how do you approach your delivery of what you're trying to do. It is a service. I mean, you're still, in the end of the day, you're still delivering a service, but think of it from a product owner's perspective. Product owner is going to be in charge of their roadmap, right? They're going to be owning their roadmap of what's going forward. They're publishing that roadmap. They're making their business aware. They're out there. We built a new website called Biogen Workplace, and it's our new hub, our new home, where everybody that wants to do anything with collaboration at Biogen starts there. It has a little solutions guide. It helps them guide them through what tool they need to have, but they all go there. And on there is a roadmap section, and it's the first time within the history of Biogen that IT was publishing a roadmap of what we're doing. That helps engage the business, right? So now they're reading it. They're reading the roadmap. That's what product management. When I talk about product management, it's about taking that perspective of how do you deliver your service, but having more characteristics around that.
Awesome. I would like to talk to architects from each of your group, so I'll give my business cards later.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Hey, what's going on, guys? So I'm an architect and kind of run the Office 365 stack. One of our biggest challenges, and I'm curious what you guys have to go through, is a lot of these technologies that, in the Microsoft stack, everything works great. But we have other technologies that are legacy technologies, but they're still new, they're still being updated. Slack, Ignite, whatever. So tell me about some of the conversations you've had with architects and executive leadership on how those conversations go. Like, hey, I know we just rolled out Slack, but if we're a Microsoft company, if we're in the Microsoft stack, Teams make more sense. And there's a bunch of examples, but I know you guys have gone through many of those conversations. Just kind of curious how it went.
We have people in other collaboration platforms. We have people who use Jira, and we've intentionally drawn some guardrails around our interaction. Like, we're not trying to get rid of Jira. It's serving a purpose. It's the group that uses it is really engaged. So we just kind of leave that until there are connection points, which I know there will be, right, someday, and you already start to see in Teams connectors, right, to and from Jira information. We just don't touch that one. Like, it's got a good business case, right? So there are other places where there have been collaboration platforms that have expanded and that don't make sense, in which case we've partnered with those business leadership areas to say, we really are a Microsoft Stack house. We have solutions for that, like Slack. We've said, try Teams, because that's what we're going to use. But we didn't have a huge toehold in that area as we have in some of these other tool sets. We also have a lot of non-Microsoft file formats, right? Like, we have people working in InDesign and in any number of different file formats that are not Microsoft oriented. So working with non-Microsoft file types within a SharePoint environment, is its own challenge, and with the things that have happened within OneDrive and OneDrive Sync that enable that to be actually a really efficient workspace for those self-referential files like, CAD files or InDesign files. So that's been really helpful, but some places we just don't touch intentionally.
I took an approach where I went out and discovered and found all these little solutions, and I volunteered to take over them. BlackBerry Workspaces, no one's ever heard of it, but we use this product for collaboration, external sharing. And I took the approach, that was owned by this person over here. You know what, I want to take ownership of that, because I took over Slack too, because Slack was being run by the development team, right? So I said, let me own the management of that. And then when we built our framework of how our roadmap, I can then paint a picture of where we're going to go, right? Because now I have visibility and I now own the relationships with those vendors and can help integrate those. So while you may call it conquer and destroy, because I'm destroying some of these products in some cases in the future. But it's a visibility perspective from my end, where I need to have visibility into all these different products to be able to paint the picture. I have Slack used today, I can't get rid of it. External sharing, we don't have that yet with Teams. So, but it's coming. And also, there's all this, when you look at the products like Teams, where, it's eventually going to replace Skype. And so you have that vision, and you can start looking at opportunities of where you can start fine-tuning, I would say, your other products. But it is around gaining access to that.
Yeah, because we've taken kind of a start with like a financial approach, saying you're paying this much for AirWatch, this much for Slack, right? And we've led down that path. But what we find is that, like at my firm, they're like, well, we're used to it, we're making money, we've already accounted for this budget. So the second part is, okay, well, the financial route hasn't worked. We tried it. Now it's like, now we need to get into like building the stack. So the stories are great. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
In the middle.
Hi, this is more of a tactical question about how you've structured your support organizations. So right now we're on-prem, making our journey to cloud. We're sort of trying to figure out how we structure and align our teams to best support the products. So right now we have sort of our Exchange team or our email team. We have a SharePoint team. So as we think forward about how we support Office 365 products, what are your recommendations or advice? We also distinguish between operations and engineering. So how are you and your companies doing that?
Who's going first?
Yeah.
We just, this is kind of a cycle. It goes back and forth of MSP or not MSP on the relationship of support or not. So, we're on the cycle now with MSP from an operational standpoint. So we now partnered with a large MSP that's going to provide a more holistic approach to across the stack. So I now own, under my team, I have all the engineering aspects of it, right? The parts where we're like using the word plan, build, run, but we're the plan and build, and they're the run at this point, right? So to provide escalation. So under my team structure is, I have my Office 365 stack, I have my unified communication stack, and I have my client engineering stack. So I have where you're managing your PCs and Office, cloud-based. SaaS is all, the Office 365 is, we traditionally consider that our SaaS-based offerings, and then unified communications, all of our Skypes, Teams will fall into that.
Thank you.
Okay, so I am an analyst at Anderson Windows. So Mark, it's great to see you here.
Nice to see you.
In Orlando, where we based in the Twin Cities. But you talked about how you have 80 group policies to kind of prevent network utilization and syncing. Are you guys upfront with users in training that, for certain products they may see issues with different features based off of network utilization, or are you kind of just creating those policies in the background so that it works best for everybody?
So we definitely try to get in front of it. So that's why we meet on a monthly basis. And so in that scenario, so I think for the longest time, from a OneDrive perspective, if I was going to upload stuff, there was a group policy that you could put in place so that it would throttle that going up. Now, I think recently, like in the last 6 months, there's a policy that will govern kind of the synchronization coming down, and I think that one you have to set it at like a flat rate, where the other one is a little bit more predictive, what's available, where the download one, you have to set it at a specific rate. So typically what we do is when we go through and we look at changes on a monthly basis, we look to see, and just try to gauge, number one, from an impact perspective, do we have to let users know, and then how big of a change, like, do we want to let them know from a productivity perspective? But to be honest, we leverage just kind of the what's new in Office pop-ups and stuff like that to drive a lot of that. So we're rolling out with for example, the OneDrive, the known folders that's showing up in tenants. So we've locked that down because we want to roll that out to users so that they're aware that that's coming. And then we're going to tie it into some Azure Enterprise roaming stuff too. So again, we just kind of look at them on a monthly basis and look to see what we need to communicate. And honestly, the majority of them, we just let them occur.
Okay. Awesome.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
We have time for one more. So we've done all of this. We have Office 365 Pro Plus, Yammer, Teams, the whole thing. How do you measure success? We still have users who bypass policies. We have users who use email to collaborate. We have, how do you measure whether you're actually hitting the mark? I'm just curious to find out.
We're actually in the process of creating our stats right now, you know, because it's easy to read off what you have, right? But we're not over that hurdle yet. I mean, in our journey, we're still young enough, right, that we're at the point where we're shutting off file servers, right? And we are now being more prescriptive. Like at first it was the opt-in, right? It was the guerrilla people, the organic growth. And now it's getting to the more prescriptive point where we'll be in there and not also in here. But I think the email journey is kind of different for me, you know, because it's part of that Microsoft vision of work where you want to work, right? As long as the email thing, the entity, the file is someplace in O365, like, do I really care, right? So I've throttled back my own expectations on where I'm going to care and not. And where I care right now, just from a bandwidth perspective, is that we close down the file shares behind people, that we close down my docs behind people. So they are moving in one direction versus back and forth and back and forth. And it's really painful to live in that space right now, right, where people have multiple spaces they're working. So that's
I would just add to that, I totally agree. You know, I think we use metrics to see that you're gaining ground, but you'll still have users doing whatever it is that works best for them. If it's under the Office 365 umbrella, that's, you know, where we want them to be. Regarding the other services and like the last question, so we really, when we hear about those, you know, we bring in legal, we bring in security, we bring in privacy, and if there really truly is a business case that we can't solve with Office 365, then we make sure that they understand, you know, the parameters within which they can work with those external tools.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we just want to have a couple of calls to action. We've got some tips on getting the most out of Office 365, which will be on the deck. We also have some additional resources, so if you're interested in learning more about Office Insiders, they have a booth at the expo floor. We also have focus groups going on right now in Barrel Springs in the Hyatt, and a white paper on how modern workplace accelerates productivity. One last thing, fill out your feedback. We want to know if this was useful to you guys. We heard you last year, and we brought a panel of experts, so let us know if this is something that was worthwhile and if we should do it again. So thank you very much for everyone for sticking around.
Thank you.
Thanks to our panel as well.